The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Niccolo Machiavelli. Do you remember the last time you were disrespected? That cutting remark, like a blade slicing through the air. Your face burned, your heart raced, and you froze. The perfect comeback only appeared hours later, when it was already too late. You failed that test, and know this, that test will repeat itself. Maybe tomorrow, maybe even today. Disrespect is never an accident. It's calculated, measured, someone testing your limits. Machiavelli saw this in the halls of power, closely observing the men no one dared to challenge. Your anger betrays you. Your justifications diminish you. Your outburst reveals weakness. The world does not respect kindness. It respects power. When someone disrespects you, it's not just an insult. It's a test, a mapping. Your response defines how you'll be treated from now on. The 9 strategies you'll learn here aren't about being nice. They're about effectiveness, about turning humiliation into power, about making those who belittle you today fear even speaking your name tomorrow. The first strategy defies everything you were taught. It requires something rare these days, the strength to do absolutely nothing. At least, not right now. Your boss cut you off in front of everyone. A friend made a joke about your appearance. A stranger attacked you on social media. 3 scenarios, and 3 different responses. Why? Because power lies in differentiation. The fatal mistake is reacting the same way to every kind of disrespect. Machiavelli saw this destroy even the most powerful. Having a single reaction, pattern, is social suicide. Who disrespects you matters more than the disrespect itself. Confronting someone above you might bring you a momentary win, but a permanent defeat. The aggressor doesn't expect it, and when the blow comes, it's devastating, socially, psychologically, and, in some cases, professionally. But use this technique. With the same frequency, a general uses war, only when all other avenues are exhausted. And now, before we finish, a final reflection. You can spend your whole life chasing respect, or you can become someone who commands respect by mere presence. The strategies you've learned here are tools, but the real power lies in your posture. If you want, I can make a full video on how to build that invisible posture. That comes before all strategies. If you want that, comment below. I want the video on power posture. If this video brought you value, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to learn. That disrespect is not something to silently accept, but something to transform into power. The response must also happen in public, with a firm tone, direct eye contact, and without allowing interruptions. Expose the behavior, show the pattern, make it evident that your patience is over, and above all, end with a definitive closing statement. Something like, "This will be the last time I tolerate this kind of behavior. Next time, there will be formal consequences." Simple, direct, undeniable. This is the exemplary punishment. It only works because it comes after a whole strategic sequence of silence, of humor, of allies, of emotional intelligence. The aggressor will never know where the hit came from, but they'll feel the consequences. The secret here is simple. Never publicly associate your action with the disrespect you received. Let the world blame it on chance, on fate, or simply on merit or the lack of it. This is the most sophisticated form of retaliation, and if even then, the cycle of disrespect continues, we arrive at the final and most definitive strategy, the exemplary punishment. This is not a technique to use often, but when used, it must be memorable, a single move, capable of restoring the entire social hierarchy in one blow. Here, there's no room for half measures or ambiguous responses. It's the moment to set clear boundaries, defend your position, and, if necessary, expose the aggressor directly, clearly, leaving no room for interpretation. Classic example: if someone repeatedly humiliates you in public after multiple warnings and after all your previous strategies failed. Simple, direct, and elegant. The audience will laugh. But at who? The power shifts to you. This technique takes practice, but when done right, it's devastating. But careful. This type of response only works if you project calm, control, and zero resentment. Tone is everything. If you sound hurt, you lose power. If you sound superior, you own the moment. But not all battles are public, and there are times when the best attack is the one no one sees. Machiavelli called this invisible revenge. When the disrespect is serious, repeated, or severely damages your reputation, the response must be planned with the cold precision of a surgeon. Invisible revenge is subtle, slow, and often lethal for the aggressor. It shows up in that denied promotion, in that opportunity that never arrives, in that network of contacts that slowly shuts them out, silently, leaving no trace. But if you turn the provocation into an unexpected performance, you shift the dominant emotion of the audience from tension to admiration. Classic example: someone makes an embarrassing joke about you in front of a group. The usual response: get irritated or freeze. The strategic response: take the joke, amplify it, and flip the game with intelligent, self-deprecating humor. Or a high-level comeback that exposes the smallness of the aggressor. Example: if someone calls you too sensitive, smile calmly and reply, "Thanks for the free emotional analysis. If you'd like, I can recommend a therapist to help you work through this obsession with me." There's a secret weapon that the greatest strategists have used for centuries, but few have the courage to apply it. Turning disrespect into a stage. When humiliation happens in public, you're given a rare opportunity to flip the situation and turn it into a show of intelligence and emotional control. How? With the theatrical reversal strategy. The secret lies not in returning aggression, but in using humor, controlled irony, and above all, surprise. The aggressor expects you to get angry or stay silent. Self-defense can sound like weakness. Defense from third parties brings unquestionable legitimacy. This strategy requires investment in 3 types of allies: active defenders, narrative mediators, and silent informants. The triple method is clear. Consistently create value for strategic people, publicly defend others, and generously share recognition. An elegant technique: triangular praise. Praise allies to third parties. Knowing the information will circulate. This approach is not manipulation, if based on real merit. It is a recognition of social reality that Machiavelli so clearly understood. Collective perception always outweighs individual self-defense, but there are moments when disrespect can become your unexpected ally. As we'll see next, this technique is especially effective against 3 types of disrespect: obvious provocations, criticism from irrelevant people, and public attacks, designed to create scenes. The filtering question is simple: will this person or this opinion matter in my life a year from now? If the answer is no, indifference is the best choice. But not all disrespect can be ignored, and when indifference isn't an option, delegating the response can be surprisingly effective. Have you ever wondered why certain people rarely need to defend themselves? Why attacks against them always seem to meet invisible resistance? The answer lies in a strategic network that few build consciously. Invisible allies. Never defend yourself alone when others can do it for you. This Machiavellian principle distinguishes the truly influential from the merely powerful. The space between the offense and the response shows power, shows control, shows deliberation. Impulsive people respond in seconds. Average people in minutes. Strategic people at the perfect moment. You decide where to fight, when to react, who will witness, and sometimes your most powerful weapon is silence. A silence that destabilizes. A silence that dominates the room. You know what's more irritating than someone yelling at you? Someone completely ignoring your yelling. Calculated indifference breaks the logic of confrontation and leaves the aggressor without a script. Have you noticed how certain people seem untouchable to criticism, not because they argue back, but because criticism simply slides off, like water? That impermeability is deliberate. Silence is one of the greatest weapons in the social arsenal. Machiavelli observed the absence of reaction causes more discomfort than any response. Disrespect seeks emotional engagement. Denying it is like denying oxygen to fire. Strategic indifference is not passivity. It's an active decision to refuse to reward disrespect with your attention. It works because it breaks the expectation of social reciprocity. The aggressor invests emotional energy and gets nothing. Classic shields. That's why. The next strategy is to choose carefully where, when, and how you'll respond. Professional fighters refuse street fights. They know the secret. The terrain determines the winner. The rules define the game. The context decides everything. You make a mistake when you react immediately, at the time and place chosen by the aggressor, under his rules, on his turf. It's a trap. The strategist does it differently, transfers the confrontation, chooses the terrain, sets the conditions, decides who's watching. Your response arena has 4 possibilities: immediate public, planned public, immediate private, planned private in each with its power. For that colleague who interrupted you in the meeting, 3 steps. Briefly acknowledge in the moment. Interesting. Point. Confront. Privately later. I've noticed a pattern in recent meetings, and, if needed, consolidate in a future planned occasion. Your timing is your silent weapon. How to spot this silent attack? The next strategy will show you. Your work was almost perfect this time, said that colleague with a forced smile. A compliment or subtle provocation. The most common disrespect doesn't come in the form of direct confrontation, but disguised in 3 dangerous forms, identified by Machiavelli: fake compliments with hidden criticism, unsolicited advice, and strategic omission of your contribution. The art of detecting subtle disrespect requires more than just listening to what's said. It demands reading, tone, context, and timing. The prince observed by Machiavelli was a master at detecting the reaction test. That moment when, after disrespecting you subtly, the person immediately scans the room, looking for social validation. This behavior reveals the true intention: to diminish your position, not to convey a truth. The line between paranoia and naivety is thin. The Machiavellian solution? Assume positive intent, but watch for patterns. 1 incident could be chance. 3 from the same person. Reveal deliberate strategy. Subtle disrespect is even more treacherous, because it allows the aggressor to deny intent if confronted. I was just joking. You misunderstood. Years later, when the empire was his, the names of those who disrespected him simply disappeared from history. That is the difference between an ordinary man and an emperor. People forget the death of their father faster than they forget the loss of their inheritance. Machiavelli's words reveal everything. People forget the harm they do to you, but they never forget the harm you do to them. Use this to your advantage. Create your invisible notebook. Record who disrespected you, under what circumstances, who was present, what exactly was said. Not to fuel hatred, but to map patterns. Disrespect is rarely random. It reveals hidden intentions, invisible alliances, deep insecurities. A samurai, after each encounter, would ask himself, who tried to diminish my position today? That clarity reveals the social battlefield most can't see. Your record will have 3 purposes: to identify real enemies among fake friends, to spot conspiracies before they form, and to allow for surgical responses. Not emotional outbursts, but be careful. The most dangerous disrespect is invisible, the one that slips by the inattentive. It comes disguised as friendly advice, as fake concern, as poisoned compliments. The wise man, Machiavelli said, plays according to his real position, not according to his desires. Different strategies for different players. Your boss is not your colleague. Your colleague is not your subordinate. And your subordinate is not your friend. Disrespect from below is often ignorable. From equals requires surgical balance. From superiors demands patience. It's not about submission. It's about effectiveness, preserving energy for battles that truly matter. Because the next strategy requires something even more precious than your immediate reaction. It demands your strategic memory. Julius Caesar carried with him an invisible notebook. In it, he didn't record victories, but insults. Every veiled joke, every subtle betrayal, every look of contempt. He wouldn't react in the moment, just smile and take note, not out of resentment, but out of strategy. He knew the most important battlefield wasn't of swords, it was social.